Hi, Teri here from Stamping Magic. Welcome back to my channel. Today's project is a gift bag. Now this is another fold flat gift bag. I've made several in the past, but they're all different sizes or they have something different about them. I haven't done this size before, but like the others, it's super easy to make. It's 6 inches wide, 8 inches tall, and 4 inches deep, so it can hold a really good size gift. And of course the great thing about it is that it folds flat, so you can store them easily and then just pull them out when you need them. I've used the Boughs and Blossoms stamp set together with the coordinating bow punch. And all the papers come from the Pattern Party Designer Series paper pack. Now you'll find this paper pack in the Host Rewards section of the current annual catalogue, and you can only purchase it using Host Rewards, and it's a fabulous price. So let's get started. These are all the measurements you need for all the elements required to create this project. So if you're interested in reproducing it, take a screenshot so you can refer to it later. I have 2 pieces of the Pattern Party Designer Series paper, and these are exactly the same size. Now I'm going to use one piece for the front and a side section, and the other piece for the back and a side section. I'm placing one of the pieces into my Simply scoreboard with the shorter side across the top. Now as you look at the paper, the pattern orientation should be correct. So the short side is your 10.5 inches and that is the width. The 12 inches is the height. Now my pattern orientation on the front is fine, but I do have a one-way design on the back. So if you've got that as well, you need to ensure that the design is going in the correct direction. You don't want one piece upside down because that will notice inside the bag. So I'm making sure my pattern is correct on the back, and then I'm placing my paper with the short side across the top. I'm going to start by scoring the front and one side of this bag. So with the shorter side across the top, I'm going to start by scoring at 4 inches and 10 inches. Then I'm going to quarter turn clockwise, so the long side is across the top, and I'm going to score at 4 inches, and then also at 6 inches, but only to the first horizontal score line. I know it's very difficult with this pattern to see, but I can feel the score lines, so I know how far to score. Once that's done, I'm going to quarter turn anti-clockwise, so that short side is across the top again. And then I'm going to score down at 2 inches, but just to the first horizontal score line. And the 2 inches is halfway across the side section. Because my pattern makes it quite difficult to see the score lines, I've drawn up a template. You can see the 4-inch score line and the 10-inch score line. I then rotated my cardstock a quarter turn and I scored at 4 inches again. And for the front, I scored at 6 inches, but just down to that first score line. I then turned it back and scored at 2 inches, but again just to that first horizontal score line. The back is scored in much the same way. So short side across the top, score at 4 inches and 10 inches. Quarter turn clockwise and score at 4 inches. And this is the difference. I'm going to score at 6 inches, but this time all the way down. You need that extra score line on the back so the bag will fold flat. I'm going to turn it back and score at 2 inches, but just down to that first score line. So the scoring on the back is identical to the front, but when you rotate it and do that 6-inch score line, you go all the way down. Now the next thing I'm going to do is make 2 additional score lines within this rectangular piece. Now this is on the side section. This is the side section here, and this is the back or the front section. And then you've got the 1/2-inch tab on the side. So I'm just working within the side section within this rectangle. I'm going to go from the bottom of the center score on the side to each of the bottom corners on that rectangular section. So keeping it completely within this rectangle. Because of this pattern, it's going to be very difficult for me to draw those extra score lines on the front, so I'm going to do it on the back. So again, I'm just making a triangular shape within that rectangle towards the base of the side sections on both the back and the front piece. And the best way to do this is using a metal ruler with your scoring stylus. That's the scoring complete, and now I can do the cutting. In the bottom right, there's a narrow rectangular section. This will be removed, and I will make a slanted cut at the top and the bottom of the 1/2-inch tab that remains above it. And then along the base section, there's 1 score line left, and I'm going to cut up that to separate the tabs, and then on the square tab I will make slant cuts on either side. Again, this pattern makes it very difficult to see where I've got to cut, so I'm just folding on the score lines to make them stand out a little more. So I've removed the bottom right corner section, and I've made a small slanted cut on the top and the bottom of the remaining 1/2-inch tab, and then I want to separate the 2 tabs along the base. Now I'm doing this on the wrong side because again it's easier to see. So I've separated them, and then I'm just making a slanted cut on either side of that square corner tab. Then I'll repeat that for the other section. So I'm going to separate the bottom tabs first this time and make those slanted cuts, and then I can remove that small corner section on the other side and slant cut that 1/2-inch tab. I can then fold on all the score lines and burnish them with my bone folder. Now when you get to the centre line within that side section, you want to fold that into a valley fold, and you only want to fold and burnish it down to the top of the point of the triangle. So I'm pushing my bone folder and I'm going to hold it in that position, and then if you bring the other part towards you, it should form the triangle. Now mine didn't straight away because I'd forgotten to fold on the horizontal score line just at the bottom of that side section. I'll show you better on the back in a second. Okay, so that's the front and side done. This is the back. Now that extra score line above the baseline score, you want to fold in the opposite direction, so that's going to be a valley fold, and that's at the bottom of the back and the side section. Then fold on all the other score lines and burnish them, and then we're at that center fold again on the side section. So again, this is a valley fold, and I'm going to burnish it down to the bottom of that score line, so the top of the triangle, hold my bone folder there, and then bring the other piece towards me, and that will form the triangle, so I can burnish it. So that's the back section, and it's got that additional score line to enable it to fold flat. The two pieces can now be joined together, and I'll do this by adding glue to the 1/2 inch tab on one side, and then I'm going to place the other section on top of it so they're joined. Make sure you line up the top and the bottom score line. Then I can add glue to the remaining 1/2 inch tab, and then fold the opposite side on top of it to form the bag shape. I'm going to use a pencil to mark the position for the handles on both the front and the back section. Now these are the wider sections, the narrower sections are on the side. I'm marking 1 inch in from the edges on the front and the back. So that's 1 inch from each edge on both the front and the back sections. The bottom of the bag can now be formed. Now I'm going to fold in the back tab first of all. Now this is on the side with that extra score line running across. Then I can add glue to the remaining 3 tabs. The side tabs will be folded in first of all, and then lastly the front tab, and this leaves a clean edge on the front of the bag. To get the bag to fold flat, you want to press in on the sides and bring the front and back together, and then just walk your fingers down the side edges, and the bag will naturally fold. Give it a good press down and then burnish the edges with your bone folder. The handles are just 1/2 inch strips of basic black cardstock. Now the length of mine is A4 length, which is 29.7 centimetres. If you use 8.5 inch by 11 inch card, then 11 inches is absolutely fine. The A4 length is just a little bit longer. Now I'm going to add glue to about 1/2 inch on the end, and then where I made those pencil marks I will centre that on my handle and just hold it in place until it takes. Now I'm going to flip the bag over and position the second handle while the first one is drying. So again, just add glue to the end 1/2 inch or so, and then centre it on the pencil mark that you made earlier. Once the glue has dried, then I'm going to add glue to the opposite end. Again, just that end 1/2 inch or so, and this is on the same side as before. Now, if you bend it backwards away from you and then twist it towards you, then you want to position it on the second pencil mark. Again, hold it in place until that glue takes. And then I'll repeat for the second handle. So add glue to that bottom 1/2 inch. I'm going to bend it back away from me, then twist it towards me and position on the second pencil mark. Again, holding in place until that glue takes. Once everything's dry, then you can open up your bag. Once you've opened it and folded it flat a couple of times, you'll notice that it's much easier to do. Don't forget to erase the pencil marks that you made for the handles earlier. Here is the Boughs and Blossoms stamp set. Today I'm just using 2 of the floral images. I'll be stamping using Memento Tuxedo black ink, and I'm going to stamp on a scrap of basic white card. Now I need 2 of the smaller floral images and just 1 of the larger, and all of these will be cut out by hand. This is the coordinating bow punch. Now I'm going to punch out 2 of these leaves, the larger leaves, from basic black card. I have a piece of the Pattern Party Designer Series paper here, and I'm going to layer that onto a mat of basic black. I want just a little black showing at the top and bottom edges. The basic white die cut mat has been die cut using one of the Tasteful Labels dies, and it's this one. I've also gone ahead and embossed it, and I've used one of the Meadow Moments embossing folders, this bottom one with the butterflies. I've also added dimensionals onto the reverse, and then I have the elements that I've just created. And again, I've added dimensionals onto the back of the larger flower. This completed panel can now be added to the front of my gift bag, and I'm going to use my grid paper to help me position it where I want it, and that will be approximately 1 inch down from the top edge. And that's my bag complete. It's very pretty. I love the black and white. You can see it's a huge bag for a good size gift. Now I had to make a coordinating card to gift with it, and here it is. So I've used all the same products as I used for the bag. Now the paper I used for the main part of the bag, if you remember, was 10.5 inches, so I had 2 1.5 inch strips left over, and I've used some of that for the top and the bottom of the card. Thank you for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed this project. If you did, please give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe and hit that notifications bell so you don't miss out on any future videos. Bye for now.